And we're back once again at St James's Pod. Welcome along to the episode. In this one, Pete's back as well, for listeners who can't see him right there. He's back to have a rant about Dan Ashworth, I think. Come on especially for in the news that they're after our Director of Football. Man United are trying to get him out of our hands. And we're going to talk about the Forest game, the preview of the Bournemouth game, and we'll probably talk about Shea Given and Nick Pope, as Tom's just been having a little chat with them too as well. So we'll talk all that after a quick word from this week's sponsor. It's Total Supplements. This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website, totalsupplements.co, to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes and natural extracts. So whether you train hard, work hard or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code stjames'pod, that's stjamespod, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St James's Pod sent you. Alright then lads, people come straight to you. First time back in a while. I heard you want to discuss Dan Ashworth and all the stuff that's going on with that, so take it away lad. What you got to say on the matter?
Right in at the deep end there, by the way.
Take it away, Eddie.
Jesus, where do you want us to start? Like? But you're at the deep end. Let him go if he wants to go. Basically, he's.
We definitely have a choice.
Right. That's confirmed yet, is it? You know what I mean? There's a lot of talk today that he's holding the meeting tomorrow. That like the scouts from Europe, the scouts from South America, and that are all flying over to this meeting, which I think was arranged already before this news came out that he's going to Man United. I think it's already been arranged, so it'll be interesting what's going to happen there. Like Sam said earlier, it might just be I think Page, he's saying it might just be a farewell meeting, like handing over the stuff, but I don't think it is. I think that's very soon to be doing that, if you ask me. But he came in. I did have a little rant, as you know, earlier on, because Man United are acting like this big. Look at us. We're the biggest club in the world. We get in. It's not like they're getting a new striker, our best player from, and it's going to leave us in absolute turmoil. It's not. We did the same thing to Brighton, to be fair. I mean, we didn't go on like this, but we did the same thing to Brighton. We needed him. Well, first off, Brighton needed him when they come up from the EFL to set a proper infrastructure to basically set out their future, I feel like. And it's worked massively well. Hence, it was almost like, well, was his job almost done? Because he said he needed a new project. So was that mean, well, he's done all he can. Probably not all he can, but to a certain standard. So we got him in. And because ours was an absolute wreck after Ashley. He's then sorted all that out, employed the right people, put them in the right positions. He said, obviously, his clip is floating around from when he had his first interview at Newcastle. He said he needed to do the academy. It was the women's team, the first team, the staff, the training ground. That's all been done. The training, granted, we haven't built a new training ground, but the training ground's been updated. The women's team are now top of the league and smashing it. The academy are getting players in left, right, and centre. The first team, well, look at the first team. We did Champions League football in that last year. So everything's there. Everything's being done. Everything's in place. All the different type of positions and roles in the club that we didn't have a clue about. He's hired all these people for them positions, so he's obviously came in and done his bit. But the fact of Man United chasing him is a compliment of what he's done for us. Obviously, I'm Brighton and the England, it's St George's Park and all that, but their club is in that much disarray and turmoil. They are desperate for him to fix it. Simple as that. It's not a case of, well, look at us, we're so big and so brilliant. They're a fucking mess. Hence why they need him in. To fix everything. It's a sinking ship. And they need him in to fix things. Like, it's fair enough. He's not the only sporting director there. Do you know what I mean? Granted, he's came in, he's done his bit, and he's put everything in place. If he wants to move on, let him move on. But I don't know if anyone's seen the garden leave that's just been floated about just don't know if it was Craig Hopes, just said it about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. That
The fucking
they
Grim
might.
Reaper.
Oh, don't. That Craig,
It's a bit
Craig no
ironic.
Hope.
He's called Hope, isn't it?
But it's like he's I think he's said that Man United basically are going to have a mick taken out with him, and they'll pay him. They'll pay us good compensation, but not for his full gardening leave. So I don't know if it's going to be like 6 months, 3 months, what, I don't know. But obviously it has to be till at least after the summer.
That's the thing, like, it's been floated around that it's going to be like 12 months for the gardening leave. Like, I think we had 6 after he left Brighton.
Is that what it was? 6? I thought it was about 3.
Oh, I thought it was till the end of the season. Like, I thought
you might be right, mate.
I thought we kind of spoke to him, like, almost straight after the takeover, which was, like, obviously December.
Yeah, he wasn't in for the Jan window just after the takeover. I think that all the signings that were made during that window had nothing to do with Dan Ashworth. It was just pre-existing targets, and then it was the fall, obviously the summer where Isak and Botman and those guys were kind of under his remit. I would think whether or not they were his targets that he sounded out again or not. But it's obviously clear that he's went out and done a whole load of good work behind the scenes that not, on face value the fans don't always see, but the stuff that we obviously do see in terms of transfer wise, I don't think he's had one which we can really argue against. He's been, like say the key pillars of the team that he brought in with Isak, Botman,
you say Botman though, but a lot of groundwork was done on Botman before Ashworth arrived. A lot of groundwork.
Well,
remember
maybe
him and Carlos.
Maybe so. But even if he's part of the negotiations, and obviously we got a decent deal in the end for Botman, but these are players who are going to be the cornerstones of the team, or we hope, for a long time. Like obviously Gordon as well, coming in and a little bit after those guys, but and the ones that have been completed this season. So yeah, I think we can all be grateful for what he's done, and that he'll be leaving the club in a far better state than when he first came in into that role. I don't really think we've had a successful director of football other than him. If I'm being honest, there's obviously far better than Dennis Wise when he fucking tried it. So I don't think really.
More irony, him being called Wise.
Open Wise.
So yeah, but I think we all just have to. I know there'll be certain sections who will be in disarray about the fact that Man United are coming in and taking them away, but obviously he could easily have turned Man United down if he wanted to. But I think, and Pete, you've alluded to this, he seems like a guy who likes to continue to challenge himself, and he must just think that this Man United, the state that they're in at the minute, is an even bigger challenge than what he already had going on with us. So yeah, but that is purely it. It's the fact that he's going to try and fix, like you said, Pete, an absolute mess of a club. And yeah, we'll see what he can do with that. It's not going to be an easy job.
A lot harder than with us, I imagine. Even just working day to day, because they're so disjointed up at the top, aren't they? Even with Sir Jim coming in or whatever, because he's not majority one, that's going to be. Yeah, but then the Glazers are there's rumours coming out all the time. I don't know what's true and what's not. But back to Ashworth though, I was saying last night, I feel like his role's been more laying the foundations and everything like that, and kind of big picture stuff, rather than probably focusing on these signings that we've mentioned so far. So what worries me is I know, like you were saying, Pete, like that's done, this is done, but it feels very soon to like really be saying that he's come in and done what he was supposed to do. Like I felt like it was probably more of a like 10-year project than a 2-year project. So
yeah, I don't think he's finished what he set out to do, but it's like a quick fix.
Yeah, so it could be a good thing in a way that he's kind of set everything up, and then we get someone in now to like take over the reins, and then they can really put their stamp on it, rather than it drags on another like year and then somebody else comes in. Or it might be better to do everything we can to keep him to see through what he's actually started, because it does worry me slightly. Like it's more like the academy stuff that has seemed really good since he's come in compared to before, and like even with Alfie Harrison coming in recently and stuff like that, with his new rumours about that rig from Sunderland. And I would assume like first team players, the ones that he's probably pushed through, are more likely to be Lewis Hall, stuff like that. Like the young players have got bags of potential. So it's like possibly we might not even see that one like come off.
You mentioned Lewis Hall though. I don't know on that one.
The reason I say that one's because Eddie's not played him, so
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Seem like he's an Eddie player, but
it's also the fee of, what was it, 38 million.
28, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think.
Yeah.
28 then. That's a lot of money, especially for someone who's not getting played, who doesn't look like he fits.
So yeah, 28 plus 7 add-ons apparently, but
well,
I don't know how many of them are going to get hit if he's not playing.
Yeah.
Not getting near them ones.
So it's that's a lot. That's a lot of money to pay for a. Was he 18, 19? Can't remember.
Yeah. He was 18 when he signed. Yeah.
Granted, he's got potential if you know where to play him. But I think that could come under the radar of a bit of hasn't worked out yet. That still has to be proven. That with the likes of Gareth Cole, he's gone off the boil massively. What's even happened to him? I know he's in the Dutch league, but when you compare Cole to Minty, it's streaks apart.
But I feel like you sort of jump on what Sam was saying, like how much he is actually involved with like the day-to-day transfers, like how much is it just him? Like he's not going to be like building all this around the club and doing it all by himself. Like he'll have been working with Eels, he would have been working with like all the scouting team. Everyone will know the direction that he was going in already. Yeah, like someone will have to fill his boots, but it was like, say like when he was at England there for 6 years, I think he helped implement everything through the different age groups. So everyone's playing the same style, so everyone's playing the same way. So like when players come available to Southgate, they're already playing the like style of football that he likes to play. It's like the City style of football that all their youth teams are playing as well. Like you can see like the likes of Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis coming through, ready to like start in the team because they're already playing from like the really young players, like 12, 13, 14-year-old. They're literally taught to play like that. And I think that's obviously what he started at Newcastle. But unfortunately, just how far he's gotten with implementing that down the line. Obviously, the new training ground will happen. He's, as Pete said, he's brought in a lot of young players already. So hopefully he's done enough in that sense that, he's got the ball rolling, and the next person who comes in, can just pick up from where he's left off, can liaise with the likes of Eels, of the sort of the direction we're going in, and just hopefully hit the ground running.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The big if is how well all of these sort of people are going to adjust to whoever the new person is that's coming in. Like it's going to be Eddie Howe obviously had clear trust in the direction that Dan Ashworth was wanting to go in. Like they both came in at the same time, pretty much, give or take a few months, and they've obviously built up that trust and the signings that Dan Ashworth and the scouting team have all kind of come up with have been integrated well into Eddie's world. Well, most of them have. So yeah, it's going to be, that transition period is going to, for the new person coming in, that's going to be a big challenge. And yeah, hopefully whoever it is, I know Pete, you've mentioned Michael Edwards, who was the director of football at Liverpool, as a potential option. I don't think he's currently at a club at the moment, so
he
yeah.
distances himself from a job, though, didn't he? It was an interview last year or something like that. He said he didn't want to be involved anymore.
Well, it's interesting though, because Jurgen Klopp, who he worked under at Liverpool, obviously from next season's not going to be there anymore. So it's whether or not he had some loyalty to Klopp, to not go to another club while he was still managing in the league. Obviously, that problem isn't going to be there from next season. So hope maybe that might sway him. But I mean, it's becoming from what was like a few years ago, a real nothing role, or not really in the public eye sort of thing. It's
massive.
It's massive now. Yeah, every big club has a direction that is being kind of followed by the director of football, and yeah, we need to just whoever's going to come in needs to also have a bit of their own fresh ideas. Obviously, we don't want them to just be picking up everything that Ashworth has done, and then because they're never going to be fully able to achieve it without him being there. But you want to have a little bit of continuity as well, for it to just not be a complete shock to the system for all the people involved. And obviously we look back to that Dennis Wise thing I mentioned, and obviously it was a disaster from the off, and it led to Keegan leaving at that because of how badly the trust and the connection wasn't there. Obviously Ashley was a big part in that as well, so we don't have that issue anymore. But you've got to be careful. Whoever's going to come in has to be brought in with, if Eddie's the long-term future, with his kind of blessing just as much as it is for the club generally.
Well, there's obviously rumours about the Bournemouth director of football. How much of that is obviously putting two and two together because they link everyone from Bournemouth with us. But apparently when Eddie was talking to Celtic, he was going to bring this Hughes guy with him as well. So it sounds like there could be some truth to that. And obviously you would trust him like a lot, but then it's kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, in it, if you go with sort of Eddie's pick.
I'm getting a bit tired with the Bournemouth links, to be honest.
Well,
any position, any role, or anything, it comes back to Bournemouth.
Which I mean, Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, they've done really well in the last few years. Obviously, establishing themselves the first time round for a while, went down, came straight back up, and they're a good club, but they're not the club that we want to be in 10 years' time. So we have to have some ambition to be looking bit further afield than Bournemouth, with kind of how we want the structure of the club and everything else to be. Not disregarding all their staff and everything that they've done, and that they couldn't replicate that on a bigger stage at the Toon, but like this part of me just thinks, you look at some of the moves that Man United have made other than Ashworth, like they brought one of the other big players from Man City. I can't remember what his role was, but so we want to be trying to poach more people from the top end clubs for my liking. So well, I wouldn't necessarily.
It can be done though, because Brighton are a prime example. Because obviously Ashworth left a year and a half, just under 2 years ago, and they're still smashing it, especially in the transfer market and things like that.
Doing better than they have done under him.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely hidden gems they're finding, so it can be done. It's not the be all and end all that he's leaving. Look at what you could just say. Look at all the other clubs that have done so well. and like he's only one man. There's others out there, so it's not the end of the world. We just notice him because he's English and because he's done a lot of work with England with the FA. Would he still have the huge rep if he'd only done it with Brighton? Because surely Michael Edwards would then be better than him with the players he brought into Liverpool. He likes of Mane, he likes of Salah. Is he just getting all this hype? He's obviously got the credentials and he's minted his job. I'm not taking that away from him, but if he didn't do what he did because he helped develop St George's Park, if he didn't do what he did with the FA, would he have this huge rep if he'd only done it at Brighton? Because he was at, where was he before? West Brom before, and where else?
I'm not sure, but the
I
West
think he had
Brom
a different role at West Brom as well, didn't he?
I was going to say
football.
It was slightly different, and he was just cutting his teeth at that point, and West Brom weren't like anything special. I don't think there was. Yeah,
I just feel like there's such a big agenda. The fact that it's Dan Ashworth, but granted he's good at his job, but he's not the only person that's good at his job. Like there'll be many more out there, especially around the world. Campbell.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You look at the bad
like,
examples of it though. Like look at the Everton fellow who came in, Brand. So and he had an absolute shocker at Everton, and has pretty much probably single-handedly got them the points deduction that they're in now with the shocking signings that he was overseeing. So obviously there's good and bad. Like, but I know what you're saying. Like that we can't just get too hung up over one particular guy and what he's sort of achieved.
If he wants to go, I was listening to TalkSport last night, and some bloke rang up, and he was saying, I think he said, he was right. He was like, no player, no manager, no member of staff is bigger than the football club. If he wants to go, there's the door. Pointless holding on to you. Like he's not the first.
Especially if we're going to get a load of compensation as well.
Compensation, gardening leave. He's done a lot of work for the summer transfer window, so crack on, mate. Wish you the best of luck.
I hope he does terrible, mate, man.
I was going to say, why would you say that? Oh, he completely messes it up.
I hope he regrets every second of his life after he leaves Newcastle United. Why is that Manchester United, should I say?
Yeah, once he leaves Man U, he can have a good life again.
Yeah.
How much do you think the compensation affects like FFP and stuff? Because like that sort of job role doesn't affect FFP, does it? Like how much you pay him and that.
I don't think it would.
So will that sort of compensation come under like FFP rules or?
I don't think so. I don't think
if it's like 16 million, like quite a wedge.
You say that, but when managers get sacked, that counts towards FFP because
Chelsea kind of sacked Poch at the moment.
Exactly, they're tied in with Poch because of the amount of compensation they paid out for Potter and all the other ones before. So it could actually contribute in some respects, but
because it's profit and loss now, and it's not actually FFP anymore.
Yeah,
so
but I mean, we're talking 6 million. I've heard figures around that mark.
I heard 16.
Oh, I've heard 21.
Okay. Jesus, what? Never seen or heard of like staff like. I mean, what sort of contract did we sign them up to?
It'll be a length. It'll be at least 5 years, surely.
Unlimited data, I think.
Oh, never. Yeah, so obviously the length of the contract will decide what the compensation, but you'll be definitely one of the highest paid staff alongside Eddie.
Aaron Eales, probably CEO.
And Darren Eales, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's move on anyway, because we kind of chewed the bones out of that, but the other news coming out of the club this week includes Krafth getting a contract extension. I know we were discussing this on the WhatsApp group. I'm not sure if we discussed it on here yet or not, but what do you make to that? Because I thought he'd probably leave at the end of the season. And it does make me think, I know you guys kind of rebutted this, but it makes me think we're getting ready to let Lascelles go. So we're keeping Krafth on as like another right-sided centre-half option. Just as probably third choice.
Yeah, I know we mentioned just on the pod just before the transfer window shut in Jan that Lascelles was being looked at in Turkey, and like Besiktas were maybe ready in a bid. So it might be that they're just kind of keeping them things sort of sweet there, and maybe picking them up on a pre-contract for a free transfer. So yeah, it would strike me if we were to tie them both down to long-term deals. I know Krafth is what, an extra. Is it just a one year or 2 year that
1 year
he's
extension, I think.
a 1 year extension? Yeah.
So,
So yeah, which if we were to, I don't think Lascelles would likely agree to just a 1 year. He'd be looking for probably 3 years. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to struggle to tie him down. But yeah,
I don't think they want to. He's not. We need a new. I think we need a new centre half, not Lascelles. When you got shut, we need another Botman, another Botman quality, if you like, or slightly worse to come through. But then again, we've also got Dan Burn, base centre half. So
I suppose Dan Burn is kind of going to back up Botman if you were going to put them, because I would hate to see Dan Burn trying to play the right side of the defence when he's it just wouldn't work. So yeah, I know what you're saying though. We do need to have like a younger
he's not the answer
player,
Lascelles, is he?
But obviously then that would mean the club captaincy is needing to be sorted out in the summer if he is to go.
An easy one, wouldn't it? To be honest, Trips will just take that straight away. But yeah, that was my thinking. Is like we're probably going to sign a right-sided centre half that's either going to understudy to share for a season or battle it out for starting, and then that would leave
young McCarthy, isn't it? McCarthy's
Alex Murphy's it?
Alex Murphy, but I think he's left-footed as well.
Murphy's left-sided as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So yeah, that would
leave Lascelles as third choice. But if he's going to leave, and Krafth's only 29 as well. I don't know when he turns 30, but and he's looked good, you know, when he's come back in.
I was going to say he's improved so much since working under Eddie.
Yeah. And the injury might have versatile. He can play centre back in the cups as well. So like Eddie obviously likes those kind of players, like obviously Byrne left back, centre half, Alex Murphy left back, centre half, Krafth, Dermot even. I don't mind that Krafth's got another year. To be fair, like it means that we don't have to actually pay for a replacement.
Yeah.
Because if we are playing Tino left back or as a backup left back, hopefully next season he'll be starting. If we don't sign another left back, but it leaves sort of a bit less cover for if Trippier goes down. So I don't mind giving him another year in the same sense that I wouldn't mind giving Lascelles another year or two, because again he's shown when defenders went down the season he can do a job like quite comfortably. So why would we go out and spend money when the player's already there, like, and we probably wouldn't have to give them any more than a player that would come in. So it just, for me, especially when FFP is so tight, I just think it makes so much sense to sign these players to another 1 or 2 year deal each until the revenue starts getting bigger, the commercial money is getting bigger, and we can start to like sort of pile them off and replace them bit by bit. But I think we've got other like bigger needs at the moment, so I don't think
you mean like a striker, a fit one.
Well, we'll get onto that very shortly then. But Paige, I'll let you go before we get on to that need.
No, just on that point that you made about Lascelles, I just personally think that he will want a bigger deal and like look for his sort of last big contract before with him turning 30, I think. And like you say, he's been playing pretty well this season when he's been called in, and there's definitely clubs down the lower end of the Prem or top end Championship. Obviously, if you wanted to get a payday out in Turkey, then I go for it, because they can definitely afford to give him a big contract. So yeah, as much as I would like to think that you're right and that you would want to sign up to a 1 or 2, I just don't think he would.
Well, fuck his testimonial right off then, can we?
Yeah, he would be. Would he be due one?
Yeah, I'm sure he's been about 8 years, is it? So
Yeah,
if he signed a new contract, I think that would put him into double figures.
Aye, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I just don't. I can't see it happening. But is he one of
it's
the
up to
last?
you, Jamal.
Exactly. Is he one of the last ones that needs to sign up for it, or is it Dummett and Gillespie the other two that would?
Dummett, Gillespie, Ritchie, I think all are out of contract in the summer.
And we're not expecting any of them guys to.
I don't know, like
I can see Dummett getting one.
I could see Dummett getting one, and I don't fucking know why. I don't like it.
Richie, I can see Richie getting one.
Knee chance.
Nah,
come on.
I genuinely can't.
Nah, come on. Like,
Purely
why? What?
Leadership skills. Why has Dummett had one for the past 5 years?
Because he's a bag.
Oh, keep on, man. He's just got a bit of... I'd give Richie one over Dummett any day of the week.
I'd be releasing both.
Surely, if that's all we're getting out of Richie, just give him a coaching role, and then he's not in the playing stuff. Wages.
I love that we've got all this money and not success, but we've had a great season. We're talking about fucking Richie and Dummett getting contract extensions and all that. Back to reality.
Well, the other thing that's getting us back to reality is obviously what we just mentioned with Callum Wilson out again. I think we all kind of had big hopes that he'd stay fit under Eddie Howe because Eddie knew him.
I'm not sure. It was hope, but I'm not sure. I actually thought it was
misplaced.
Yeah.
So, what's the latest then? He's been 9 to 12 weeks. Was it 9 to 12 weeks? Did he say?
He's got dodgy pec eye. John will attest to that. I don't know. Did he do it during a game? Or was it?
Yeah.
If you actually watch it these days, you'd see.
No,
I was having a tussle money with the last game.
It was last minute. It was like the 96th minute of the game.
The ball was running out, and they just had little handbags, and he got his arm, like, I can't remember which player it was, but he had his... Wilson had his arm out, and the other player had his arm around him, and they got caught up. And he's obviously overstretched.
Aye.
Is there anything on Isak coming back? Will he be available?
He was touch and go for the last game, wasn't he? They played it safe.
I know, but they say that, like they said Gordon wouldn't be involved, and then he starts, and it's like, do they just say bullshit so that the other team can't guess what starting lineup's going to be?
Oh, well, Eddie talking shite once again.
I think Isak's back. He obviously went off with a groin injury, then it came out that it's not feared. And then it was like, he might be back for Saturday, and it was like, he's not playing. And I think he'll be back personally.
What, starting on the bench? Yeah, I think he'd be on the bench, but
it wouldn't surprise me.
I guess it just depends how he's recovered. Huh? We've seen Wilson come straight back in on the bench and play 45 minutes in his first game back, so
yeah,
it's one of those where
it's
Wilson out for the season. Now. What are you thinking in terms of his future at the club?
Got to go.
I think we can't. I mean, having somebody on over 100 grand a week who cannot be like reliable, and like we say in this FFP world or PSR world, it's just dead money there. Like, so we can't afford to keep having those sort of players just not being available, and as much as he's been a real good servant to us, and yeah, he's been one of our better players in the last few years when he has been fit. It's just yeah, I think we have to look to cut ties. And I know Dorsey was saying, I was thinking who would want him, like, for his reliability being so low, but like you said, Dorse, like a team coming up from the Championship might be willing to take that punt, and we might be able to recoup some of the majority of the transfer fee that we originally paid from.
That's the thing, like a tried and tested striker in the Premier League is so hard to come by at the moment. So I see him coming up who obviously they tend to splash out quite a bit because they need to bridge that gap between Championship and Premier League. Even if, like Leicester, like Vardy's in his 40s now, he's not going to play in the Premier if they come back up. Like a Wilson could come in and like easily score like 10, 15 goals if he can stay fit, which is obviously a big old if. But I think it's worth a gamble for one of those teams who, like, it might not affect them as much. Like, if it doesn't work out, as opposed to us with Isak, who's also an injury-prone striker. Like, we've been struggling all fucking season. It's embarrassing.
It's as soon as one's fit, the other one's injured.
It's like ridiculously sick going for a mile off
all the time. It's thank God. I don't want to say it. Well, I have to. Thank God Gordon is so robust. And he play obviously across the front three. But imagine we didn't have him. What would we play up there? Maybe.
Remember when Pep said like Mahrez, he's got like such little muscle on him that like he just doesn't pick up like muscle injuries. You feel like Gordon's like that. He's like so skinny, he hasn't got much on him, so he doesn't seem to like have that kind of like injuries to him. Even though like he's like one of the hardest working players on the team. Same with Miggy to an extent as well. But we shouldn't be relying on him to play starting as a striker.
Doesn't really work with Isak though, does it? Because he's like a string bean.
Aye.
Yeah.
No,
it's got to be a position where we look at straight away.
Do you think that Wilson has, like, at times not made himself as available as what he could be? Like, there's a case where like he's just
controversial.
I think that'll be unfair. I think that would be unfair.
I don't know. Like, part of me just sometimes thinks that he would take as long as like he wouldn't race back to get like into the team as much as other players might do, and like I think there's I don't know. I just get that sense that
he's got a slight ego that would stop him doing that. Like he's maybe 60-40 self-centered than being
which is probably what you want from a striker, like what
you do.
Yeah, but not on the pitch though. I don't mean on the pitch. I just mean in personality wise. So I think I can see where Pagey's coming from here.
Do you not think though, if he's had that many injuries in his career, like it's kind of fair enough? You wouldn't want to see him rush himself back if he's not 100% confident.
Well, I'd rather like Isak like take another 2 games out than to come back and be injured for another 2 or 3 weeks. Like, so I don't blame him for if he was to take a bit of time. But like, I'm so sick of players coming back and then getting injured again. Yeah. Like Wilson, Isak, like Willock, fucking Harvey Barnes. Like, how many of our players have came back from an injury and then got injured again? It's ridiculous. I'm just sick of it. Give them as much time as they need.
Well, the head physio left, didn't he?
That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
The kid, is it the lad from
Leicester? Didn't we go through 2 head physios this season? Because Derek Wright left. Was that last season?
That might be the season before. But yeah, no, I don't know. I know what I was saying there might be quite controversial, but it's just certain players in the team I think would make themselves more readily available, and I just don't think Wilson comes across as though he would do. Just throughout his like spell, not just talking about this season and that, but just throughout his spell, like there's just been times where I've just thought that, come on, you can play through that injury. Like or is there much to that one than something else. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just the feeling I get. You know, he wants to spend too long on his podcast with Miguel Antonio than he does on the pitch.
It's funny, Antonio's always injured as well.
Exactly. That's it. They've fucked the system up so they can, be on their pod.
Do you reckon there's a chance he'll run his contract down, looking for a big move? Because he's not that far off being second top goal scorer for the club as well, and he's obviously not going to reach that this season.
I think his big move would have been a January transfer window, which is like a half panic. Not in the summer. I don't think he gets a big move in the summer at all.
No.
When clubs have got so much time.
That's what I mean. So do you think he'll run it down so that then there's no transfer fee and he gets like a big payday for his last?
I still can't see any team giving him a massive payday. Like, he's not going to get 100 grand a week again. I don't think anywhere where he goes because his injury record. I think that'd be.
You normally get a decent signing on wedge though, don't you? If you're a free agent.
Yeah, I suppose like it kind of reminds me of like the Michael Owen situation towards the end of his career, and that like he was just getting pay as he play deals when he went to Man U and then Stoke, I think afterwards. Like, and I think there's been a few other examples of players like with that bad injury. Andy Carroll, yeah. So yeah, maybe that's the sort of contract that Wilson would get after this current one.
No, I think he will get like a decent contract, but just not like a big payday like Sam's alluding to, because what is he, 32, 33 now? 32.
It will be in a few weeks.
Yeah, like teams will take a gamble on him, but they're not going to give him a wedge when he's being fit for probably less than half the season.
I think you're right, Dawson, with the championship team coming up. A good championship team. I think that'll be his last sort of. I don't even want to call it hurrah. It's just like.
What? You thinking like a Leicester or Southampton or something?
Yeah, even Leeds. Leeds could come up. Like, I think Southampton. Leicester might be. I think they might look beyond Wilson, like, but a Leeds or.
He's a Coventry boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
They've got a chance, like.
But
Cov could come up, yeah.
I think a 2 or 3 deal for him will be all right. I think after that, he's probably going to have to look at what's best for him, because especially he's in. Fair enough, he was fit all the time, but he's not be doing his body any good.
Well, moving on to another injured player, Nick Pope. Tom, you've obviously been chatting to him tonight. An exclusive.
Friends.
Him and Shea Given. Do you want to let us know how that was?
No, yeah, it was the first digital event that the club has done for season ticket holders. And yeah, so a few of you guys would have got the same emails, but yeah, it was quite decent. Like, they had like just an interactive session of with Shea and Nick kind of just answering a few
first name terms.
That's how they were introduced to everybody on here. So I'm feeling as though I'm on those terms. But yeah, they had some questions that had already been sort of submitted, and then fans, they'd selected a few of the questions that fans had put to them, and then they were able to. They had a few dodgy moments with the it felt like COVID all over again, where people were on mute and didn't have the cameras on, and so it was a bit clunky at times, but yeah, they got to ask a few questions. There was one fella who was just playing darts in the background. Well, yeah, you could have a look at everybody's cameras. One fella's just there. He's like throwing a few darts, and then he just looks back over his shoulder just to see if anybody's looking at him. On his camera. But it was quite good, and then they had a little quiz at the end, like a true or false one, which if you won that, then you got a hospitality ticket for Sheffield
What?
United at home. So yeah, it was quite decent, and I
Did
think
you win?
Oh, did I fuck? I had an absolute night. The first question I got wrong.
What was it?
Oh man, what was it? What? Oh yeah, what? Who did? Was? Oh, hold on, what was it? Nick Pope's first game for England was against Croatia. True or false? And I put true, and it was false. It was Costa Rica. So yeah, that was me out after the first fucking question. But yeah, it was good. I think they're going to plan to do a few more for season ticket holders. So chance to.
Did you tell how many people were in there?
So yeah, they invited over I think 1,000, but like I think about 250 odd were on it. So either the rest just didn't bother or not. But could be us. too busy playing darts. But yeah, it was good though. Good to like kind of get their views on. I mean, some of the questions were the ones that they picked out were pretty low key stuff, like what do you think of the atmosphere at St James's and that kind of sort of stuff. But obviously Shay spoke quite well. He's obviously got the punditry stuff that he's doing these days. So, but then Nick was a little bit, yeah, he needs to brush up on his media skills a little. But yeah,
Absolutely slating all up there today, Paige.
I'm just saying.
You're meant to be representing her.
Well, next time, and if Callum Wilson's on there, I'll throw him the curveball question around his injury record and see if I get chosen for that one.
Do you ever fake injuries?
Craig Bellamy.
Well, let's look ahead to the Bournemouth game then. We've been rambling on for quite a while now. Obviously, you've just been discussing Bournemouth a little bit in terms of their the players we're getting linked with in the transfer market and stuff in the media, and also obviously the director of football. But what do we make to their season so far?
It's been pretty well. I don't know. The moment the form is looking pretty bad. Like they're 17th in the form table, but they did have a little bit of an upturn in form just sort of before Christmas, where they kind of pulled away from the real relegation battle. I don't think they'll get dragged too far back into that. I think there's too many other clubs that are looking worse in that case. But yeah, took them a while, I think, that under this new manager, Iriola, to get going. But I think they've obviously got some decent players, like Solanke's obviously been linked with loads of clubs, and he's having one of his best seasons. And yeah, I think I just seen recently that they've made that Sinisterra's deal permanent from Leeds. We've got some like decent players amongst that team, so yeah, I think they're in a pretty decent spot. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, I think they're looking pretty solid. Obviously, against us last time out, the hand were pretty tough beating, and it was completely deserved as well. So, as you're saying, like at the start of the season, obviously what happened with O'Neill, everyone thought like they could be in a bit of trouble here. But 27 points from 4 games, whatever. They are in no danger of going down. So, absolutely fair play to them. Like they'll give away a tough game, and I'm just hoping we get the 3 points because we need to really show up. Because if we don't show up like an hour on the game, like we won't win that match. It's that simple. Like Solanke obviously like tore a new one, and once again with Tavernier on the wing, like we're going to start Dan Burn again. Like it's the age-old question. Like, once again, against Forest, he didn't cover himself in glory, to say the least. So, yeah, it's a weird one, because it's one of those games where you see Bournemouth at home at the start of the season, and you think that should be 3 points on the board. But when it comes to it, it just doesn't seem as easy.
Yeah.
Well, talking about Dan Burn, Pete, do you want to give your opinion on the left back situation? Because obviously you've not been on for a bit. I didn't actually think he was that bad against Forest. I thought he had an okay game, but
I don't really think it's necessarily his fault, because he's not a left back. That's his second position, obviously. We put in there, but you do the whole thing. You look at last season, and he was fantastic. But this season, Dubs just, I'm sure you guys have said it, he's just targeted. He's such an easy target. You just put your pace on the right hand side, and it's so easy, because you're either getting past him or he's going to foul you, and it's just I don't understand why we haven't changed it up a bit. There was a lot of talk against Forest is because we changed the system, because obviously Bruno was pushing forward in his more natural position.
yeah.
So we didn't want to.
Trippier was coming in, wasn't he? Into like the six almost.
I mean, you're seeing it with those talked about before, the way Alanga was just turning him inside out. The pace on him was just done all the time. But I mean, we're all screaming like we knew it was going to happen, and it's like it's just so obvious. So I don't get why you don't put a block on that straight away.
Help him out somehow,
obviously, Gordon's pushing forward, so he can't get all the way back. But then it's the whole thing of Dan Burn takes himself too far forward and gets caught out all the time because he's not quick at all. What does he do?
He fucking turns slower than the North Shields ferry. Which is fucking fast. It's fucking fast, man.
But it's just...
But it feels slow when you're on it.
Yeah, it does, mate. I don't know. I think Dan Burn starts again.
Of course he does.
Set pieces is the threat. Someone needs to help. Someone needs to drop and help. Dan Burn out, which doesn't really happen. It just.
Well,
I don't even know.
I was gonna say the problem I've seen as well, and I think it's been coming like the last few games, is that even Botman's getting like caught out with like his pace not being like that great. I mean, the Alanga goal, like fantastic ball by Gibbs White right in between the middle of the two of them, and both of them were just like floundering, like they couldn't find their position in. Alanga was in between the middle of them, and obviously Dubravka's come rushing out, and whether or not he was a bit rash with doing that. Anyway, just it seemed to expose like two of them at the same time, and that obviously we know Burn, Botman, he's the long term. Burn isn't, but we don't want teams like just even finding the spaces. They can go either inside, like outside of Burn, and like even now as we've seen, if Botman's not positionally great, then they can get in behind him. So I think that whole left side, just not saying Botman needs to be dropped in any case, but it's becoming a more and more of a worry, like that down that side completely for me.
Do you reckon No, go on.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna allude to the fact that Pope being out, does that affect it that much? Because obviously since he's been injured, we've conceded, I think it's the most goals in the league. We've definitely conceded the most chances and shots. And his sweeping ability is obviously quite decent. He's fucked up against Liverpool last season, but generally he's pretty solid. He doesn't tend to do what Dubravka done for that goal, and sort of hesitated, and he didn't know whether to come or go. And he was left just outside his box where he couldn't use his hands, and he definitely didn't cover himself in glory there. So I think it's not just the midfield that like we're struggling with like numbers. We're missing Pope as well, even though Dubravka himself I think has done all right, but defensively as a whole since Pope's been out, we've been fucking shocking. So it's definitely a contributing factor.
Yeah, the communication will be sort of having to be built up again, and like,
It's been long enough now, though, isn't it? Like, surely that's down to the coaching staff if they're still struggling with it now. They should have adapted to change to the way Dubravka plays by now, surely.
Well, who in that particular goal, who like made that? Like, is that on Dubravka just completely misreading the situation, or did he get a shout, or should he have given a shout? Like, there's so many things that just went wrong in that situation, like with defensively in the shape and like where the sort of the goal came from, like was just like. Too easy. It's just through one ball through the middle. Like, great ball as it was, but like it's just one ball. Like that should have been defended. Like we were just 6 and 7s like in all positions. So and that's I think Sam, you're right. I think that might be just as much on the coaching staff as it is on the players that are available in those positions. But yeah, I agree though, Dust. Like, I think Pope being missing has been a massive factor. Just as much as some of the other players that we've had missing.
So your rate his keeping ability better than his media ability.
He did.
I prefer that another way around.
No, to be fair, actually, now I remember, like, he did make a good point. Like, somebody had asked the question on who's the like most vocal defender that you've played with, and he said Lascelles actually, like, which you'd expect as a captain in that, but like, yeah, like, I don't know, he didn't mention.
I feel like I never see that.
You never see Lascelles.
Giving it like bellowing people, bollocking people, whatever. I see him the odd shout or a set piece and all that, but generally, I don't know, barking orders if you like, or whatever. I feel like I don't see it. It's obviously there, but I just feel like I don't see it. Which I've always moaned about, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he didn't mention like Cher or Botman in that, so like, and then they're the ones who are available and playing ahead of him, and like you say, if these sort of goals are happening, these like ones where it could be down to that lack of talking to each other and just understanding where each one of them are positionally and stuff like that, then that's something that needs to be checked. But I don't expect to see any changes though defensively for this Bournemouth game, even despite all of our concerns. So,
yeah, it'd be good to see a better performance out of the team, like, because the last couple, even though we've got like results, the performance hasn't been amazing, has it?
No.
Well, I mean, the Luton didn't exactly get the result either, but.
It's the Luton defence, but Harvey Barnes has been changing games, I think, when he's coming on.
Harvey Barnes! Oh, what a goal! You know, to be fair, when Barnes came on, he has looked proper sharp. Like, it's so good to see him back. Like, I think people forget, like, how long he's been out. People forget how good he actually is and why we paid that much money to get him in. Like, he's been quality and he's looked so dangerous since he's come back. And he might not be what we need to come back right now, another left winger when Gordon has been the best player all season, but it does allow him to play up front when needed, potentially Saturday, and even on the right, where he's not as good. Like, there's no two ways about it. When he's on the right wing, he's not half the player that he is. He can't cut in as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Barnes, like, I think he's low quality. So I wouldn't mind seeing. Actually, well, I think he should start on the left if Gordon was through the middle and Isak can't play. Like, I think there's no two ways about it. He should be starting the game now. He's played a couple of times and he's looked sharp. Both games.
Back,
so
by the way. He was out with sickness.
Is he back? Is he?
The last game. Well, he was out with sickness, wasn't it?
Nah, that was it.
I mean, I'm just guessing, like, but if it's just sickness, I'd imagine him to be back, which gives her 2 wingers on each side at least.
Fucking hell! How long's it been since we've had that?
What is going on?
As I say, how nice is it to have like attacking threats coming off the bench? Like, it actually feels so weird when like there's subs warming up and it's like
you've actually got constant pressing and constant pace up top, which is what we were so good at last season, pressing from the front.
Right, exactly.
Just looping back around to the Trippier style of play in the last game. What did you make to that? And do you think we'll see more of that going forward? Because it didn't seem to be for the full game, but when they were doing it, it definitely let Bruno get a bit further forward and stuff.
It was good to see, I think, because it gave us something different.
It worked, didn't it?
Yeah, but Bruno looked extremely happy in the way he was playing. And obviously, in the interview after, he was told that Eddie Howe gave him freedom. And when in like his first full season with us, he was scoring goals. He hasn't been scoring goals recently at all. Barely having a shot because he'd having to be sitting. Granted, it's because of the problems in midfield we're having, but you had to sit so deep, and he was so attacking. It was so good to see, because it unlocked that player that we all know how he is and how good he is, and obviously like Trippier pushing up high. So that's when Dan Burn kind of at times would sit in as a back three. Granted, a lot of other times he went that high up the pitch, he got a nosebleed, but don't talk about that. But yeah, it was interesting. You don't really see much of different sort of on-field scenarios like that with Eddie Howe, I don't think. Obviously, we have different tactics, but that was like a big rotation in formation and play, which I don't think you usually see.
It's
not good pitch.
I was going to say it's kind of like reminiscent of what Liverpool are doing with Trent when he's playing like in that right back slot that he's pushing up into that sort of midfield as well. And yeah, obviously look at how well that's worked out for them. And obviously, even if you want to look at it from like an England perspective ahead of the Euros, like to have like 2 players, if Trippier continues to play in this style, that England would have as options playing in that similar way. But yeah, it's definitely just adding to the fact that he can get more assists as well by pushing up. Like, you've seen the sort of quality as well for the first goal. I know it comes from a set piece, but just even from that like kind of position that he was in, like just angled it a little bit differently, and like just it just shows like the versatility quality that Trippier has, that he's able to, even at the stage of the career he's at, that he can add this to his repertoire as well.
Yeah, like it's not only does it bring out the best in Bruno, it hides the worst in him. Like, he doesn't need to track back as much, which is his major flaw of his pacing getting back. So yeah, Trippier filling in, like,
and fouling,
as you're saying, like, what was that, Pete?
And fouling when he's having to defend.
Well, that as well, yeah. I mean, if he hangs on another, like, I think it's another 6 or 7 games before the 10 yellow cards is wiped. If he manages to hang on till then and not get a 2-game ban, then it's pretty fucking impressive. Like, it's been 3 so far, and that's still 3 games longer than I thought it was going to be. So, he's making less fouls, and I think he's conscious that he's making less fouls because he doesn't want to miss those games. It's just a shame in the first half of the season. Like, you just thought when his head goes, he just kicks the fuck out of someone. So
Did you hear what he said about his celebration? He
Aye.
wanted to hook. He wanted to hook the fans, but he realised he couldn't get another yellow card, so he had to stop.
To be fair, getting on the boards, I think some Arsenal referees might have, but thankfully,
I did think that, like, when he jumped up. But
don't do it, Bruno.
the referee was actually terrible in that game, wasn't it?
Oh, mate.
He's like
diabolical. Absolutely
for both
diabolical.
sides, though. He was just terrible.
Yeah. He was booking. He wasn't making bookings for on-field challenges or whatever. Obviously, their backroom staff getting a card, and then there was the card because two players were having a little scuffle. They got carded. What's all that about, man? You've got challenges like the studs up on Shaw's ankle and stuff like that. It's
that
like,
was horrendous, by the way. Was that even checked?
No, I don't think it was. But I'm pretty sure it was.
But mate, the amount of times you see that, like studs up, like on a planted ankle, get done with a red card. Like, I think if it was a couple of inches high, it would have 100% been a red card. But I think he got away with it because obviously for the 5 minutes before half time, Shaw was literally limping about.
Yeah. And
the score then as well. Like, it didn't come into the side of the pitch where Shaw was at, but he was literally limping around. He didn't get back in his own half for about 2 minutes. So
Gibbs White was so bad for just hassling the referee as well. He runs up the referee with his hands up like that.
Yeah,
I don't know what this is all about because you're still in his face. Did you notice that? Every time he's like,
you don't use your hands.
You're still this close away from him.
He did a cynical one, didn't he? Towards the end, and he was already on a yellow. He should have been sent off.
But because he was on a yellow, that's why he didn't get another yellow. Ridiculous.
Bollocks.
But then I think we were fouling as well, and the ref wouldn't give it a time. So he was just like, sometimes there would be like 3 fouls in a row. You just wave them all off, and you just keep going.
Well, I mean, we argue that that's what we want to see. We want to see the match go ahead, but it's the inconsistency because in a different game, it's given a foul and a card. So it's like, can't win.
I feel like we're getting a blue card rant on the horizon from Pete.
I don't think we even need to touch on it because I think the football world is so unified about this one thing that it's not even needed. This is the one thing in football that everyone actually agrees about. It's a stupid fucking idea.
They've put the trial back, haven't they? And they're going to go back at all. One person made a very good point though. Like, what if the keeper gets a blue card for dissent? What the fuck happens then?
So apparently they've actually said that I'd have to take him off for 10 minutes and put an outfield player in net for 10 minutes or sub him off. So
it's 5 minutes getting changed.
Yeah, so it literally doesn't matter.
What a joke.
A keeper still applies.
Absolute joke.
Fucking pick that was half the game in the stands.
But then the players, they'll just keep kicking the ball and wasting time, 10 minutes or so.
Oh, it'll make games horrendous for that.
It'll be shocking, like.
It's definitely being thought up in the back of a pub somewhere, and it's pissed up. Well, now I want this fucking blue card, so...
It's got to be someone that doesn't know anything about football, really.
I think it's one of them.
Looking at rugby and...
Yeah. Like, no one's played the game or managed or been a ref or anything like that.
Nah.
Just so, why are you changing something that doesn't need to change? Why are you getting involved for?
Yeah.
Just have those 2 pence fucking say.
And if they could implement the laws as they were, like, focus on that first, and then you can think about changing them.
We're talking about TalkSport. They've got enough fucking shit that they can't control anyway.
Yeah.
That's not even working properly yet. So, we'll just hoist something else in the mix over. What are you thinking, like?
Yeah.
Right, well, I think it's about time we go for some predictions for the Bournemouth game. Tom, unfortunately, you got the prediction right last
3-2, aye.
3-2 against Forest.
I'll take that.
I thought about not telling you because you'd clearly forgotten, but...
Well, I'm
going to go first for Bournemouth.
I will do because I'm desperate now to get back the backs. So I am gonna say 3-1 win.
Bastard.
You can go with it as well if you want.
I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to smack them.
I'm going to 5-1.
2-1.
Guarantee we'll get a clean sheet now.
Yeah.
What a crease.
Right. Well, that's it then. Join us next time. We'll be going over the game and hopefully some better news. Because I feel like it's been a bit of a negative one, this one, but if you have enjoyed it anyway, like the episode, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll be back and we'll see you in the next one.